Okay, so you've gone through the first step, which is seeing your space. You know exactly what problems you're trying to solve with your remodel or new build. You've explored fixes for those problems in the second step and have landed on some choices based on solid rationale. Now you need to start validating these choices and kind of turning them into actual decisions. And so here are some ways to do that. We call it proving the plan. So the first step is to get samples. You should not pull the trigger on anything you get online. Sometimes you're going to have to just kind of pick appliances online without seeing them in person, especially if you live kind of in a rural area. But flooring, paint colors, wood samples, tile, all of them you can get for either cheap or really free. Okay, so order them, get them in the mail, hold them in your hands, see how the light in your space affects them at different times of day, put them together and see how they work with each other. One tip on paint, get an actual small sample of paint and not the card swatches. Okay, paint a piece of drywall or wood and look at it in the space. Colors change drastically pending the light in the room and kind of the other colors around it. So it really helps to have kind of a larger sample of that and put it in the room. Okay, secondly, get costs of things. So it's much easier to get material costs than labor costs. So start there, whether it's the tile or lumber or whatever it is. So in the example we've been using, we called some lumber yards, found the average cost of cherry plywood around us, figured up roughly how much square footage we were going to need for the walls and the ceiling in the bathroom and the cabinetry. And now we have a pretty good idea, whether you're getting bids for the labor or you're going to install it yourself, we have a good idea of how much that material is going to cost. So same goes for tile, countertops, flooring. If you're clear on what you want to use, which you should be getting pretty close to at this point, you can get a pretty decent estimate of what your costs will be for those materials, minus the labor involved to install it, and then specialty things like plumbing or electricity. Okay. Third, draw it out. Okay, if you have the time, get a tape measure, take some measurements, make drawings either on a piece of paper or on the computer, and try to start seeing kind of the scale of things, where cabinets or new appliances might fit, determine where your framing is currently, and make drawings of those things. I swear it will be helpful. I repeat, making drawings, mock-ups, visualizations are never a waste of time. And AI has gotten pretty good at this. I've noticed the dimensions can kind of get a little distorted, so watch out for that, but it's a great tool for kind of visualizing materials in your space. So these 3 steps are going to take more than the 20 minutes that I've taken talking about them, but they shouldn't take forever. Spend a week seeing the space, making that video of you walking through it and noting everything that you notice. You've prioritized the list of changes and the things that you also want to keep. Then spend a week finding fixes for those problems, making some choices, trying to keep your use of materials kind of to a minimum. So, striving for that simplicity, and collect some inspiration with your intentions in mind. So not just randomly. Then get samples and try to get a general idea of how much of each material you'll need and the cost of those materials. Then make some sketches, get a sense of the scale of things and where things will fit. And you may need to reassess things along the way. You may find a sample that doesn't look like you thought it was going to look and you need to find another one. That's fine. You're still moving from dreaming about changing the space to actually building it. And whether that's calling contractors as the next step and getting bids, or you're doing it yourself. So I hope that helps. You can download the template for the design framework at the link below. And if you would like some kind of personalized help designing or preparing for your build, reach out to us on the site. We offer some design consultations.